In many ways, the 2023 season was an absolute disaster for the Jets. I mean, Aaron Rodgers gets injured 4 snaps into the season, which sucks for a lot of reasons. For one, just the personal reason of someone gets injured, that's never fun. But the football reasons of being like, well, you lost a year of Aaron Rodgers. That's really not ideal if you're trying to win a Super Bowl. The guy's 40 now. Who knows how long he'll keep playing? Maybe that was going to be his last good year, and you don't have that left. Also, he is coming off of an injury. Who knows how close to 100% he'll be and how long it will take him to get close to football shape. There was also, he was talking about returning very quickly, was potentially rushing back. Could that also have some other implications that mean that he's not as good as he once was? There's all of those factors. There is also the other side of the coin, though, that in a weird way, you could maybe argue this could end up being the best thing to happen to the New York Jets, which sounds weird, but just hear me out for a second before we get into previewing what they do in this next season. We saw the Jets had clear issues last year, outside of just the quarterback play, with Zach Wilson clearly not being a NFL caliber quarterback, or at least not maybe he's a fine backup, maybe, but certainly not a good backup. He at least showed flashes of being a good backup, I should say. But the other issues, the receiving core outside of Garrett Wilson did not perform as well as I'm sure they wanted it to. There was some real tackle issues that they need to fix. They need to fix the offensive line. So I think in many ways, the fact that Rodgers got hurt, while it stinks that you had no chance to win a Super Bowl this year because of it, you might not have been able to do it anyway. Now you get your first round pick because Rodgers didn't meet his snap threshold, and you have a chance to, get to the, maybe be a better team this season, assuming Rodgers can be 100%. Again, who knows how good Rodgers will be, but it's something to think about. So let's now shift gears and talk about the previewing of 2024. First, you look at their cap space and cash situation. Not a lot of cap space, but you know what? They can make it work. And if you're the Jets and you're worried about not wanting to kick the can down the road, I think that would be a mistake. I think what you do now is you kick the can down the road as much as you can. You go all in you assume this year is Aaron Rodgers' last year, and you go all in this year. And then if he plays well this year, you go all in for next year, and you repeat until Rodgers isn't good anymore. That's the mindset, in my opinion. Because once Rodgers sucks, you're screwed anyway. So once he retires, you're screwed anyway. So go all in. That would be my mindset. So the cash, that's why I always put that there, and that's projected. Could be a lot more. That's to me the better number to look at. As for their key free agents, you have Bryce Huff, who's kind of the biggest name there for sure. Definitely not someone you want to let go. Mekhi Becton, Jordan Whitehead, also a good player for them. Quentin Jefferson, and Carl Lawson. The number next to their names is how much they're projected to get in the open market. How many millions they're projected to get in the open market. And it's weird. Like, part of me almost wonders, do you take a chance on Becton? But at the same time, I think they probably just want stability at that position, right? And you're not going to have a ton of cap space to work around. So it might be a thing where you might have to build through the draft a little bit. You're going to want to sign some of these guys. And again, you might get someone who's willing to play for the Jets because they look like a playoff team. And hey, let me go, I'll live in, New Jersey. Okay, not New York, but in the area at least, not a bad place to live. And, have an opportunity to, potentially win a Super Bowl with the Jets. Could be the selling point at the very least. I'm sure that's what the GM will be telling the players who they're talking about. If you look at their draft capital, though, they have a good amount of draft capital. As I mentioned, that number 10 overall pick, which they wouldn't have been picking in the first round at all had Rodgers played this whole year. So that's a huge asset that they have. I think the thing you want to make sure you don't do this time, though, is what you did last time. So if you remember last year, they pretty clearly wanted to go out and draft a tackle. That was kind of what everyone assumed. All of a sudden, the Steelers jumped the Jets. They traded with the Patriots. They got the last tackle on the board, and then the Jets kind of panicked. They drafted a defensive. I thought they overdrafted an edge rusher there, and so kind of didn't do a great job with that capital. Here, what you want to do in a typical situation, this isn't just this situation, is be open to just being able to get the best player available. You don't want to force yourself to have to go out and get a tackle. Like, everyone remembers when Tampa Bay did it, right? They signed Tom Brady, and then they said, okay, we need a safety and a tackle. They ended up drafting Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr. Okay, if you can do that, that's great. If you can get 2 All-Pros with your, those picks, then it works out. That usually doesn't happen, though. So, and again, more often than not, it leads to bad scenarios. So you want to be in a position where you at least have some other receivers and you have offensive linemen you feel okay about before you even get to the draft, which, again, I think kick the can down the road, spend as much as you can now to make that happen. If you can't do it and you have to try to draft a tackle, don't be afraid to trade up and overdraft a tackle. Like you're in a go all in situation. Don't be afraid to screw yourself over in 3 years, because if you have a Super Bowl ring, you can just look at that in 3 years, right? Also worth mentioning, all these other picks, just a lot of picks in general that the Jets have. So that's good. You want to have as many picks as possible. The average team usually has around 8 selections. They have 9, so you have the upper hand there. Yes, it's a lot of late picks. Yes, 4 of those picks are in the 200s. 3 of those are in the 250s. But still, a pick is a pick. It's a player. You can make it work. So things to note. Again, you look at the chart here, cap space $1 million, projected cash $55 million, and then the projected cost, if they re-signed everybody, would be about $35 million. And again, the thing you have with the Jets is they have a great defense and they have Aaron Rodgers. I was even thinking, this is a crazy take, but could they be a Mike Evans contender? Could that be possible? I feel like I'd say that to every team. I mean, again, if you can you should make Mike Evans say no, basically, if you're any team. I feel like if there's an elite wide receiver on the market, that's what you should do. But okay, maybe Evans would take a little bit less to go for a contender. I think he probably would. As someone who, I'm a Tampa Bay fan, watched him play for 10 years. I know he's competitive. I think he wants money, but he also wants a place to play that can compete. That is the Jets. I'm not sure if he's going to take a massive discount or anything like that. He won't do that, but he would take a little bit less to play for a contender, I think. And could you do that? And again, the projected cash is just a projection. It might be $100 million they have in cash, and if they do, well, then go out and spend all of that, and yes, offer Mike Evans a contract and get him on the roster. So part of why these projections are so hard is we just don't know actually how much money each team has to spend. It's not like hockey where you just kind of know that. So for Mike Evans, it's just something I thought of, but it doesn't have to be him. I think you could go out and get just another, a Gabe Davis could be get one of those sort of B tier receivers that you think could just help out, make sure you get some stability. And really, I'd probably pump some of the cash into the offensive lineman would be what I do. Get some offensive linemen, get a couple tackles that are just fine. You don't need great tackles. You just need fine tackles. And then in the draft, you can try to attack the wide receiver position there with later rounds and stuff like that. That's kind of how I would view all of this. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you think the Jets should do from here? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.